yes, you are incredibly important and you've done amazing things, and you still have to show up and be this guiding wisdom and inspiration for your clients. But at the end of the day, the person on the other side of the screen thinks of themselves as the main character.
Welcome to the Wildly Free Podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Plord, business mentor, 3-time founder, and marketing nerd. On this podcast, you'll learn how to break free from the traditional job world and pave your own path so that you can go all in on life. Grab your favorite warm drink and pull up a chair as we talk all things marketing, growth, strategy, and the real and raw sides of entrepreneurship.
Yesterday, inside the Story Selling Accelerator, I did a content audit for a client who sent me a reel that she had already posted, but got more views than she typically got. And her question for me was, why did this reel get more views? I'm happy about it, but I'm curious and I want to replicate it so I can get even more views. And I love these types of questions because it tells me that my clients are looking back on content that performed well, and they're looking for data to add to their strategy to make more content that performs well. We're not just posting and hoping that it works. We're posting with an idea of, okay, my audience liked when I did this before. Let's test it out and see if it works again. Now, one thing that I noticed immediately when I was doing this content audit is I was instantly able to tell her why this particular reel got more views than a different reel. She was doing the type of B-roll that creates a lot of urgency psychologically for the viewer. It was a very short clip of her walking, and she was wearing this like nice animal print jacket, and she looked like she was on a mission. That instantly, for psychologically, for your brain, tells you to stop what you're doing and pay attention, because this woman knows what she's doing. She's got something to say. But the thing that really I got into in this content audit, it ended up being a 12-minute video, which I do a video audit every single time someone brings me a piece of content for me to give feedback on, because I'm a visual learner and it really helps me to say, okay, this is what your video is doing, or this is what your carousel is doing. Now let's look at your caption. Let's look at your messaging. Let's break that down and give you some actionable feedback. And content audits are, by the way, something we do weekly inside the Story Selling Accelerator. So one thing after we got past why that particular reel got a lot of views was I noticed that she took a very long time to circle her content, her messaging, back to the viewer, back to her audience, back to her dream client. Now, a lot of times people think storytelling content, it's all about me, right? But it's actually the opposite. While I do teach you to share your own personal stories, your own journey, your own successes, your own breaking points, your breakthrough moments, your becoming moments, every single time we're telling one of these micro stories, we're also circling it back to our dream clients, to the person on the other side of the screen. And this was the premise of my program, Main Character Messaging, which is included inside the Story Selling Accelerator, is that you are not actually the main character of your content. Right now, Richard, my partner, and I are reading through the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I had never read Lord of the Rings. It's not really my thing, but as a fantasy lover, I love all Sarah J. Maas things. Throne of Glass is my favorite series of all time. I actually, for Christmas last year, asked him to read that series with me. And as a compromise, I said, if you read Throne of Glass with me, I'll read the Lord of the Rings with you. So we did that last winter. Now we're reading Lord of the Rings this summer. We're almost done. But one thing that I like to bring this concept, connect this concept with, is like Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings. Even if you know nothing about Lord of the Rings, you probably know who Gandalf is. He's the wizard with the staff who says, "You shall not pass." And he is an incredible asset to the story. But when you think of Lord of the Rings, you think of Frodo and the ring and throwing the ring into the volcano, right? Like, if you know nothing about Lord of the Rings, you probably know that part of the story. But Gandalf is a huge driver of the story. He is the wisdom. He is the guide. He is telling them the route they should take. He is bringing in magical elements that the other characters don't have. He's bringing in connections and relationships. And like, honestly, if he wasn't a part of the story, they might not accomplish the mission. But he's not the main character. Frodo is. At the end of the day, Frodo still has to go off on his own, deliver the ring through chaos, through evil, through obstacles, through trickery, through these terrifying beings that he has to fight to destroy the ring. So I want you to think about you are Gandalf. You are Gandalf. You are the guide. You are the wise wizard with like this magical foresight that your dream client doesn't have yet. And your dream client is Frodo, this humble little hobbit who's walking through the woods barefoot and who knows he has to do this mission, right? He knows he needs to be the one to deliver the ring to Mordor, but he doesn't know what's going on. He's lost. He gains confidence, but he needs guidance. And at the end of the day, when he's ready to go off on his own, he only goes off on his own because he feels like Gandalf and the rest of the characters has given him enough guidance for him to go off. So Frodo is your dream client. Frodo is who we're trying to give enough confidence, give the tools, the wisdom to, so that they feel like they can go off on their own and accomplish their mission. This is why when you have clients that join your offer and you're like telling them everything that they need to do and they're just not following through with it. Like let me know, like say yes out loud. If you've ever had a client come to your calls and ask the same questions over and over and over again, and you're like, bro, we talked about this last call. Have you done X, Y, and Z? And they're like, well, no, I'm still looking for the secret to whatever. And you're like, oh, but I already told you exactly what you need to do. Why aren't you doing it? It's because we are, maybe in our content, we are acting like the main character and we are talking about our story and how easy it was for us, or we weren't talking about the struggles. We weren't talking about the breaking moments. We only talked about the becoming moments of our story. And we accidentally called in the wrong type of client. We accidentally called in the client who thought that just hiring you was going to solve all their problems, that hiring you was going to magically make them be able to achieve their mission. But at the end of the day, we can give our clients literally the exact step-by-step method, and they might not get results because they still have to go do it. So this is why it's so important to understand your role in the story. Yes, you are incredibly important and you've done amazing things, and you still have to show up and be this guiding wisdom and inspiration for your clients. But at the end of the day, the person on the other side of the screen thinks of themselves as the main character. And if you're not treating them like the main character, they're going to find someone else who will. So when I teach storytelling inside my offers, when I'm working with my clients, I, one, help you break down your story into micro stories so that we aren't just regurgitating and throwing up our giant story and just rambling and being like, oh, I did this and then this and then this and then this. And by that point, your audience is already gone. They already lost interest. And break down your story into bite-sized pieces that actually sound relevant to your dream client, to what they're currently going through, so that they stop scrolling and they think, whoa, this person sees me. This person gets me. This person went through the exact thing that I'm going through right now. I need to stop what I'm doing and listen to them. When you can do that with your storytelling content, you will drive consistent cash from your content. Not views, not comments, not engagement, but cash. Clients in your inbox saying, signed, I paid the invoice, when do we begin? Because inquiries are great, comments are great, views are great, but if no one's actually signing up for your offer, we have a problem. So this particular client that I was giving a content audit for, one thing I immediately noticed was that she took a really long time to flip the script and invite her audience into the story. She was talking about generic posts and how quote posts and inspirational posts don't really help you generate income for your business. And she was like, we all know the type of posts. We see this. And I used to do this in my business because I thought that's what you needed to do to get views. And you know what? It actually worked for me, but I wasn't actually signing clients. And it took, I think I counted, it took 5 lines to get to her story. And then it took something like 10 lines to get to talking to her audience, talking to her dream client. At that point, like, people are landing on a post and they're immediately asking themselves, what's in it for me? Whether that's entertainment, like sometimes you're just scrolling and you're like, that's a really funny cat video. This is exciting. What is that doing for me? It's making me laugh. It's giving me a moment where I can just take a break, forget about my worries, and laugh. Or there's someone on a post and they're saying, what's in it for me? What am I going to learn from this? What is this person saying that I can take insight from, that I can take wisdom from? So if you're telling a storytelling post and you're not telling me exactly what's in it for me, I don't care. Not to be harsh, but that's just how buyer psychology is. If you're not actually showing me why I should be listening to this post, I'm going to swipe on by. So this particular client took a really long time to get to that point. So what I did in this content audit is I helped her restructure her post so that immediately in the first sentence, we were directly addressing the audience, the person watching the reel, reading the caption. Not only did we change the caption, but we also changed what was written on the B-roll reel itself. The B-roll reel was something like, it was like, when your posts are generic, this is why your generic posts aren't getting traction. Actually, no, it wasn't even that. It was like, I can't even remember. It was a generic hook, which I called her out on, but we changed her generic hook to immediately call out her audience, which was like, you think your quote posts are good for your business because it's getting you lots of views and shares, but this is why it's actually not generating cash. Something like that. It immediately ties me in and calls me out because, yeah, I did think that my posts were doing well because it always got more views and engagement and shares than the other types of posts. But the point of her content was that you need to go deeper than that. You need to actually create content with substance because the post might get a lot of views, but it's not getting conversions. So I immediately called in her audience by calling them out on a behavior that they were currently doing that they thought was working for them, but it was actually doing the opposite. It might have been attracting those clients that expected a magic wand to happen, to be waved when they signed up with working with her. Or they expected free coaching, or they expected her to do done for you social media management for like $5 an hour, or worse, free publicity. Right? So that simple content audit that she asked me for turned into a full-blown lesson of, hey, we can turn the attention, we can call in your audience way faster when doing this. This line can be stronger. We can make your hook more appealing, more scroll stopping. Also, you don't have a CTA. Let's fix that. Let's turn this directly into a very strong CTA that's going to get people into your inbox asking for the application to work with you. This is why having someone in your back pocket, Having access to a space where you can ask for feedback on a weekly basis is so important for your business. Content prompts might give you a quick fix, but if you don't actually know how to position your offer, how to be super clear in your messaging, how to use and weave stories that generate trust and generate proof for your offer that you get results in your content, then it's just going to fall flat. Like, you can have the best hooks in the world, but if you don't have that positioning and you don't have that messaging and you don't have the stories to back it up, it's still going to fall flat. This is why most of my clients, I'm not the first person they invest in, but I am the last person they invest in, because they try to invest in the templates. They try to invest in the quick fixes and the content coaches that are like, oh yeah, your content looks great. But I'm the one who actually tell them, yeah, your content's good, but you're not actually leveraging your offer. We're not using offer stories. We're not using your legacy positioning that's going to make you stand out. Your content looks exactly like everyone else's, and I know that's not the point. I know you're not posting content just to post content. I know you actually want to make sales. You want to get clients signed in your inbox, not just people saying like, oh, give me more details, and then they ghost you. So when you are ready for that level of support, someone who's actually going to take the time to give you a 12-minute content audit and show you exactly how to make things stronger on a weekly basis, when you're ready for a personalized roadmap that leads you through 4 distinct phases with action steps that you can follow, you can actually check them off like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Learning materials that you can study so that you can then implement with those action steps and practice. And then you can come on to our strategy calls once a month and ask me further questions so that I can help you see the blind spot that you're missing, so that we can further clarify your messaging, so that we can take your positioning even deeper, so that you have a brand that stands out and is unforgettable. Instead of just another social media manager, instead of just another coach, you're actually someone who's completely distinguished from everyone else in her industry. When you're ready for that level of support, the Story Selling Accelerator is where you need to be. I don't accept any bullshit. You'll never hear, oh, just keep posting. Oh, it looks good. You will always get at least one thing to work on, to make it stronger, to test out, so that we can come back and work on something and make sure you actually get results. The clients in my world are waking up to 3 new clients paid in full before they even have their breakfast and their coffee. They're literally laying in bed with their husband, soaking up the cuddles, the morning cuddles, and opening their phone to find 3 new paying full clients because of how we work on positioning their brand so that they stand out, so that they're the only one in their market that does what they do, so that they become known as an expert. My clients are going from 0 applications for their one-on-one to literally 25 applications that they can be picky about. That now they can raise their rates because they have this demand. Because we're using her story to leverage her expertise and make her sound as valuable as she is. We're not just picking a rate that charge her worth. We actually have evidence of why she's charging the rate she's charging. We actually have evidence of why people need to be in her offers. We're not just pulling things out of her butt and saying, oh, I know this. We're showing our audience why she knows this, how she leads her clients, how she leads herself. And that's why she's signing new clients. That's why she went from 0 to 25 applications for her one-on-one. Those are just a few examples. If you want more examples of client results, I have plenty. I think I have 2 or 3 highlight reels on my Instagram that you can go through that are all full. So when you are ready for feedback, for honesty that's going to make you even better, your content even stronger, your sales even more effective, The Story Selling Accelerator is where you need to be. My DMs are open if you have any questions. There are 2 different tiers that you can join. If you want more access to me, more calls, more weekly support, then you need to be inside the VIP tier. But either way, this program is where people are making moves. The people inside this program are being asked to speak on stages. The people in this program are signing 3 clients overnight. The people in this program are getting people commenting the trigger word on their post after trying for months and months on their own and seeing no progress. So when you're ready for me to brag about your results, you know where to find me. The link to join will be in the show notes, and my DMs are always open if you have any questions.